I'm back, and what a month it has been. Elections, the Women's Convention, let's catch up. The Tuesday after a 3-day weekend, and I just got done with a full day of work, and I'm heading over to the Democratic Town Committee headquarters to make phone calls for the upcoming local election. It is the last thing I want to do right now. I want to head home and play with my children because it's a beautiful evening and I miss them after having been with them for 3 days. But I'm only going to make phone calls for an hour, and some of the other women on the town committee actually organized for all of us to go together, so it should actually be a pretty entertaining time, and it's important to put in my volunteer hours and make these calls. So I'm heading over there to do that, and then I will get some extra cuddles when I get home tonight. I had the privilege of attending the Women's March convention out in Detroit. And watching the clips right now actually brought me to tears. So I am so excited to share some of the experience I got to have being surrounded by so many women who feel as I do, and I know as many of you do, that we can create a society where there is true equality, freedom, and justice. And so I hope you enjoy getting to see some of what I got to experience out there in Detroit.
First of all, look at this room. My God, y'all. Wow. I just want to say one thing here to make sure we set the record straight, because the media loves to lie. The first person we worked to get here to this conference was Maxine Waters. We called her and we asked her whether we were allowed to grace you all with the name reclaiming our time, and she agreed that that was the right title for this conference. And while I like my brother Bernie Sanders a lot, he was not the headline keynote for the Women's Convention. You are looking at the keynote and the headliner for our convention, Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Wow, look at you. Wow, look at you. Are you feeling strong? Yeah. Are you feeling confident? Yeah. Are you feeling powerful? Yeah. So let's send a message to those who try and divide us. You just go to hell. We are together. I am so honored to be here with all of you. I knew this was going to be a great success. I knew that women were going to come from everywhere. I know that we're supportive of each other, and I know that we're going to send a great message from here today. Give yourselves a huge round of applause.
being part of making waves. We want the people who are presenting on this panel to make waves, but we want you to make some waves. We want to see some undulating going on. We want to see some waves. We want to see some crests. We want to see some whirlpools. We want to see you make waves, and we thank you for being part of this important session. You know, you can't live without water.
That's right.
You can't survive without water. Water is a human right.
That's right.
Water is not some premium perk that ought to be access to certain people. Water, particularly when you're surrounded by the Great Lakes, help me somebody, ought to be accessible to every living thing, and most certainly every human person. So we're here to declare ourselves as not minorities. We're not marginal.
That's right.
We're not by the way. We're not inconsequential. We're not a footnote.
That's right.
We're not an anecdote.
All right.
We are women who bring forth humankind. We are women who usher babies in through a flood of water that God has provided in our bodies to nurture the babies on the way. We are women.
Yes.
And we have a right to say that we will have water. Man didn't make it, and man ought not control water. Water is for the people, and we the people say water right now. Water right now.
What a crowd! You have so much energy, you are so strong, and you are so loud. I mean, you are so loud that maybe they're going to hear you all the way to Washington, D.C. You might even make the White House listen to women. It might happen. It is so great to be with your leaders, Linda, Tamika, Carmen, and Bob. You shook the world with that Women's March. And now you are holding the first women's convention in 40 years. So we all know it was kind of a difficult election last year, right? But Debbie and Kirsten and I had 4 bright spots of sunshine. And that is our 4 new women senators. Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, and Kamala Harris of California. Yeah, I ended with California deliberately. So now we are up to 21 women in the United States Senate. And people always say to me, well, what's the right number? And I always say, well, maybe 100. But then I correct it and I say, oh, well, 99 plus my colleague Al Franken.
So, 145 years ago, in 1872, a woman from my home state of New York decided to do something radical. Her name was Susan B. Anthony. And it was election day. She went to the polls like any engaged citizen would do. She cast her ballot like any engaged citizen would do. And then 2 weeks later, she was arrested. Her crime? Voting. Because at that time, like it was for more than half of our country's history, it was illegal for women to vote. At the trial, when the judge finally asked her if she wanted to speak, his mistake, she says, "Yes, Your Honor, I have many things to say. In your ordered verdict of guilty, you have trampled underfoot every vital principle of our government. My natural rights, my civil rights, my political rights, my judicial rights, all are ignored." She then refused to pay the fine. The trial was a turning point in the long struggle for our inalienable right to vote. Her courage won her newfound respect and help begin to turn public opinion. Now, Susan's act of selfless courage wasn't something from out of the blue. It wasn't something she did in a vacuum, because the story really began 25 years earlier, when roughly 300 brave men and 300 brave women and a few good men gathered in Seneca Falls, New York. Now, they met around an outrageous idea to declare that all men and women are created equal, deserving the right to vote.
So over the last 2 weeks, we've watched the phenomenon that is #MeToo sweep across the world. Alyssa Milano tweeted out a simple charge that was a decade in the making. When I started the Me Too movement in 2007, it was in response to the widespread sexual violence that I saw the Black and brown girls that I worked with in my community experiencing. As a survivor of sexual violence myself, I was committed to finding ways to communicate with these girls that they were not alone and that healing was possible. But I also wanted them to know that they were worthy and had power. What we have seen this week is that there is power in numbers. There is power in truth-telling. There is power in intersectionality, and there is power in community. What started as a hashtag has grown into the movement that I always envisioned. Mainstream media is paying close attention to the spectrum of gender-based violence, from sexual harassment to sexual assault, in ways that we've never seen. But it didn't come from nowhere. This moment was built on the backs of folks who have been on the ground fighting this fight for years. This moment stands on the shoulders of Rosa Parks, who fought against sexual assault way before she sat down on a bus. This moment stands on the shoulders of Anita Hill and Marsha P. Johnson and Gloria Steinem. And scores of women in communities across America, like the women right here in Detroit, who are fighting to get the rape kits examined. We are the ones who are clear that we have the solutions. Me Too, on an individual level, is about an exchange of empathy from survivor to survivor. But it's also a bold declaration, a clarion call, a war cry that lets the world know that we don't come as individuals. We don't come as victims. We come as a united community of survivors ready to topple the systems that allow sexual violence to flourish. We won't be picked apart. We won't be marginalized. We are here for the long haul. If you are ready for this fight, if you are here to take that charge, my simple reply to you is, me too.
Ladies and gentlemen, by now, every woman in this room should understand the cost of silence. Just take a look at who we now have in the White House. Donald Trump is the most dishonorable and despicable human being to ever serve in the office of the presidency. Keep your nasty comments away from us. Keep your tricks and your lies to yourself. And keep your hands off our backs and our goddamn bodies.
about 5:40 in the morning on Election Day 2017. Most days it's hard for me to get out of bed at 5:15, but today that alarm went off and pop, up I went like a Pop-Tart, because I am going to poll stand from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Again, little complaint. Of course, this is the first day it actually feels like fall in New England, and so it's pretty cold out there. But I'm psyched to get out there because voting is one of the most important things I think any of us can do, and all the work that led us to this day will finally pay off today, and so pretty excited. So heading out to the polls.
All that hard work paid off. We had some big wins last night. Not only did the 3 female Board of Ed candidates that I was helping get elected, but we also had the 2 women running on the Democratic ticket for town council get the highest first and second votes in town, which means they will be mayor and deputy mayor, which is incredibly exciting. And then nationwide, huge wins across this country, and I think that just means that the resistance is strong. So let's celebrate these wins, but recognize that the work doesn't stop, and let's keep on fighting. 2018 will be here before we know it.